think this class? Okay, this is what everybody wants. This is what Billy said when he showed up day one. If you're not finishing the top 5, what are you doing here? Can Billy do it this year? Do you think that he has the makings? Do you think that their board has the appeal to get there? And also, I think part of it is some guys, will they get a couple bunts? Will Carr bump up to a 4-star? That plays a factor too. But what are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. That's a good question. It needs to happen at some point. I just think from a perception standpoint, as much as it, I think in the building, they probably feel like as long as they're within that range of, top
8-7, yeah,
6-7, yeah, that you're going to always, because what's changed, Sheldon, is why it used to be so important to have a top 5 class is because there was only 4 teams in the playoff. So it meant something to be a top 5, top 4 program because that would increase your likelihood of getting in the playoff. Now, you still want to have a top 5 class, don't get me wrong. But if you have the 7th best team in the country or the 8th best team in the country and the 8th best recruiting class, you can get in the playoff now.
Yeah. And then it's at that point,
so,
you're kind of just playing the lines. That makes that's a good point.
It's not the – because it was before a very crucial thing to not be in that range of recruiting when you got to have a top 4, top 5 team.
Sure.
So now that said, Florida still needs to get there, regardless of if they can get into the playoff as the 12th seed. I mean, they need to be recruiting because of the state that they're in. I think where Florida Victorious is and the commitment that they've made to recruiting that they just showed this last cycle,
yeah,
Florida has the capacity to have a top 5 type class. Like they will payroll that type of class, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I just think literally the stars have to align just in terms of getting the right amount of commits and the ones that are ranked high enough that are going to put you in that range. I mean, Florida wasn't there obviously this past year, but man, they got some studs in this class. Like
it's
just some dogs. And obviously you want to get those 5 stars, but the amount of like top 50, top 100, that it goes back to our conversation of as long as you're in that 6, 7, 8 range, you're at least where you need to be. Yeah, obviously you want to have a number 1 class, number 3 class.
Billy doesn't appear to be the one, I've kind of said this too, to chase the status, right? I mean, I'm sure he wants to be up there. He understands what it means. But at the same token, it's like, look, if I got my guy.
They would make a graphic.
Yeah.
Like, if they sign the number 1 class on On3, they're making a graphic and they're going to tweet about it. So they want it.
For sure. But I don't think he's going to get caught up into it to where it's like, I'm going to split ends to get there. It's like, hey, we got the class that we wanted. Not every guy, is, may appear to this recruiting site like they do to us, and that's just okay. We think they're 4-star guys. These guys have a 3. If they put them how we think them, we'd be a top 5 class, and we're gonna settle for it. Could we go get one more guy to push it to make it, whatever? I don't see Billy doing that. But at the same time, this year, like you said, if the momentum is in the right place, this is the time where you can kind of get a little maybe more aggressive with it and more backing to say, hey, let's get the push. I know we don't necessarily need it, but let's tack on this year of like, hey, we finished this. We have the number 4 recruiting class in the country, number 2. Like, then you can like it helps them for that momentum.
I also think it's important to note, like, to sign a top 5 class, a top 3 class, a number 1 class, you really got to be payrolling on NIL.
Yeah.
Like, you really got to be shoveling out a lot of money to high school prospects. And I would venture to say that I think Florida, obviously, they've shown that they are willing to sign and pay for the highest of the high profile, the DJ Lagways, the LJ McCrays. I know Dallas Wilson didn't end up being a 5-star in all the rankings, but he was a 5-star. Like, they will go out and battle for and win those type of recruitments. However, that being said, I do think that there are a lot of kids that are ranked that high that are demanding a certain NIL deal from a dollar standpoint that this, not just this staff, but I'm sure other staffs along the country just won't pay that price for that specific prospect, given where he's at and what they could maybe go get out in the portal, or what they could
Yeah.
go get for somebody that's maybe a top 100 kid or a top 150 kid who's not as highly touted, who might not help them in the recruiting rankings, but the bang for their buck and just how they feel about the situation will end up having them go in that direction. And I know that for a fact. I mean, I think that where that happens probably the most is with offensive linemen. 5-star offensive linemen are some of the most expensive recruits. And I think a lot of coaches, including Rob Sale, uh, think twice about paying that much money to a high school offensive lineman. Like, and it's
Yeah.
not that they won't do it, and it's not that they don't have the money to do it, but it's that if we're going to pay this much money to a high school offensive lineman, man,
You
this
better
kid
be
better
a
be coming
dog.
in, and you better not have no off the field issues. You better not have any stuff with your camp or with any weird stuff going on with NIL. Like, they're just not going to deal with it. Now some kids, you deal with whatever comes with it. Like, they had all the stuff that they had to do to get Dallas Wilson into school. They dealt with it. All the fighting and recruiting that they had to do to get Dallas Wilson on campus, they did it because he
And
was that good. So
from
so
what
it's not
we've
like they
seen,
won't pay,
it was worth it.
and it was worth it. So I don't want people to hear some of these comments and get the perception that they won't do it. I just think that they're probably selective about how they spend their money, and
I think
rightfully
it's
so.
refreshing. I like it. I like that approach to it. I think there is a people don't like it. People want to just kind of chase the star and like I said, chase the status of like, yeah, we signed all these 5 stars. But it kind of goes back to that Jackson Cantwell thing. It's like, dude, you made a lot of noise, bro. You better hit the ground
Yeah.
running next year. You better be the starting guy, and your name is only said because you were perfect with how much noise you
Yeah.
made. And
And
that's
there's plenty of red flags that come up in these recruiting processes, from whether how they're asking about money, stuff that they show when they're on their visit, just red flags that come up that just say, you know what, for the amount of money that this is going to cost and the potential headaches that could come with this, we're good. You know, and trust me, Florida is not the only staff that's making those kind of calls. But I do think that influences some of the ways that they go about recruiting, for sure.
I love it.